Two. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Modern Nerd. I am Sir Slice,
I'm merchandise.
And I'm GJC.
and we are, as always, massive nerds. If you're still with us, thanks. As always, I want to give a nice shout out to my fellow podcasters here, Smirch and George, GJC. Appreciate doing this. This has been a long day. We just recorded another one before this. We're doing another one now. We did one yesterday. By the time these air, none of that timeline will make sense to anybody who's watching. So, time travel is real on the internet. Or something. But we are going to be talking about the latest House of the Dragon episode, and we'll probably get into an overarching general House of the Dragon conversation, because the last one I think was a couple of episodes that we talked about to catch up, and now we're doing just the standard weekly. Here's the episode, here's our thoughts. I just watched this. I know Smirch just watched it. George, did you watch it yesterday or today?
I watched it last night.
Okay. So we're all pretty fresh on it. Obviously, it's recording time is Monday, so it's a day after it came out. So we're trying to get these out to you as quick as we can. Yeah. So in this episode, I'm gonna be honest. The first part of the episode for me was a little bit slow, kind of boring. So I kind of found my mind wandering and snapping back, leaving my phone alone and coming back to it. So I may miss a couple of things, but the beginning of this episode was very just much political conversations of, hey, it was Viserys and Rhaenyra and her night guard Kristen, and they went to the Vale. No, they went to
Driftmark.
I don't remember. Thank you. To go propose Rhaenyra's hand to Laren, the younger Valerian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to say
the
his name.
Valerian.
Yeah, the Valerian son.
Heir.
And the king is showing some signs of sickness, and he's coughing, and all that. And at the same time, you see they cut to Matt Smith going back to the Vale, and this is the first time we're meeting his wife. Spoilers. Very short introduction to her, because she, like, immediately I was like, "Ooh, I'm interested in this woman. Like, this is she's got a nice presence. She was kind of powerful sounding. She knew who she was and was very like, let's do this thing." And then Matt Smith spooks the horse, knocks her over, starts to walk away. She talks shit, which is like, he's a fucking Targaryen. He's crazy. Don't talk shit. Turns around and it looks like he smashes her head in with a rock. So she dies in like 5 minutes of meeting her, which is sad because she looked like she was an interesting character. And had we met her at the beginning of the show, I think it would have been a little bit different dynamic about talking about his marriage.
Typical Game of Thrones.
Typical. And then I'm just gonna do a quick recap and we'll break them all down. And then we cut to, apparently, they're back in the Red Keep, and Alicent is kind of looking into essentially like getting fed information about what happened with Daemon and Rhaenyra, and then she starts to talk to Sir Kristen, and there's a miscommunication there because because in the previous scene he's like, he rejects the idea of, he tries to run away with Rhaenyra and she rejects him essentially, and so now he's all like, like heartbroken, and so he admits to, without saying it, he's admitting to sleeping with her and sinning, whereas Alicent is implying that the incest incident. So he's saying yes, but it sounds like to her he's saying yes to the incest incidents instead of the thing. So it's like, all of these things are turning, and you're like, okay, stuff's happening. And then, you cut to the formalness of the wedding and gathering for like the weeks long celebration. And then you get the, what's his name? The Valerian kid is gay, and so he's trying to keep a secret. And, the lover of the guy goes over to Sir Kristen to try and make a pact and be like, hey, look, I'll look out for you. I know your secret. You look out for me, blah, blah, blah. And spoilers, it turns out he thought that was very threatening. and there's this crazy scene, there's this intense scene where Matt Smith shows up and he's talking to Rhaenyra, and she's like, "Run away, just take me and let's run away and do this thing." Which I was like, "What the fuck, man?" Like, it's so weird. But then it like you think that's what's happening because she said, "Kill, attack the guards and let's run away." So you're like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" And then it cuts to like it's Sir Criston beating the living shit out of this kid who just was like, "I'll keep your secret." And like, oh man, it was a pretty intense scene for the ending of this show. And then you see they cut and they show his face, and it's like half of it he looks like Two-Face without an eyeball. It looks intense. It's very gross and very gruesome. But then they like the next scene is them getting married, and the pool of blood hasn't even fucking dried. I was just like, holy shit, man! Like this just went off. Like I was like, oh
the
my
show
god!
really went off a cliff.
It really it was everywhere in this episode.
So unnecessary and just so unnecessary drama.
But typical wedding stuff.
Yeah, but like I was like, that's it. Something happened, like a build happened for me. I'm saying this not liked the last episode, but the last episode hit a different note because it was weird. It was very uncomfortable to watch with like a lot of that like incestual scenes and like all that stuff and that horrible weird sex scene with like Alicent and the king, and I was just like, this is very hard to watch.
No, the last episode,
but it had it had that drama. It made something move. It turned the gears, and you're like, oh shit, oh man, that's creepy and like weird. I went on the internet, and like people are like, look, I just sat through Game of Thrones where a brother and sister were fucking, so like this is like whatever, and like, hey, go for it, I'm cheering for them. They're like, let's ship this, and I was like, oh my god, like is this really this like what people are thinking?
We've
I was
become
like, all right,
desensitized, and now
now it's like, oh, they're just uncles. It's not even it's not I mean, she's marrying her cousin. Let's say that Valerian, they're cousins. They're literally cousins. I'm like,
they're like 3 cousins, 3 degrees.
The king's sister.
Direct cousins.
No. George is right. It's the king's cousins.
There's several.
She's not his
degrees.
Cousin. They are cousins, so it's like
they're like 3 or 4 degrees cousins removed.
Second or third cousins.
No, they're like 3 to 4, because if you think about it, the king and the mom are already cousins, and then they themselves, are one generation down. That's at least 4 degrees separation. Like,
so
that's.
But if you think about it,
family, at some point, they're like even beyond that. Maybe a couple of generations ago, they were already married, because those 2 houses have been the 2 essentially powerhouses.
Well, I mean,
since the beginning of Aegon's conquest, they are of old Valyria.
You can go back in actual history and see families that this is a thing that actually happened. A lot of old, I don't know, like 400 BC or whatever, or AD or whatever it is, like that happened a lot. Like the houses that were in power married into like themselves essentially to keep the bloodline pure, like all that shit. So that's, I'm not saying it's acceptable, but at the time it was, unfortunately, just whatever. Yeah, who cares? There's not enough people on this planet anyway, so fuck it, But let's break it down. I
really liked the scuffle scene where we didn't know what was happening for a good minute. It felt
the sense of panic.
It was like 20 seconds, but it really felt like forever.
No, was it really 20 seconds? Wow.
It felt like you were so confused. Like, what is going on? Like, you felt like you were in the room with them.
Yes, exactly. Like, we were part, like, up there. And even though our perspective was a little higher up, we still couldn't really see what was happening. I thought that was really well done. I thought that was a cool, unique perspective to keep us kind of, like, on edge and suspense. And like Tim said, it was not what we thought was happening. It was something else entirely. And I have a feeling that we are going to see what really went down in that scrum in the weeks to come. Maybe even perhaps Sir Daemon Targaryen instigated something, maybe moved a fist of one of them to make them think one of them like struck the other one. And so enough for Sir Criston Cole to finally snap and like beat the hell out of this. What was I think a proposed alliance. Well, he took it as a perceived threat. and that just maybe just a little something, dude. Damon is becoming the Joker, man. He doesn't seem to give a shit about anything. All of his decisions have been very reactionary based and just to stir the pot. I think his literal objective right now is to fuck shit up, and he is doing exactly that. He's great. I hate him and I love him, and it's a great character.
Matt Smith is doing great job of
he's
it.
he's doing an amazing job, and I'm like, what are you even doing? The only thing that is lacking punch from me is I really feel like, where is this like huge amount of lust coming from with him and Rhaenyra? I got a little bit of a sense of chemistry like in the earlier episodes, but I didn't take that as as anything other than like on good terms with your uncle, like friendly with your, like, I don't know. I guess that's what we're supposed to take away from it. Like there's been something brewing behind the scenes this entire time. Like they want each other, but I don't even know. She really was just like, take me away. And I'm just like, what? Like, what do you want? Like,
I think it was like implied that it was like, he's stirring the pot. You're right. I don't think he feels really for her. I think he's doing it to stir the pot and gain power. But like, I think that last episode where it was very uncomfortable, but like he led her on. He, fucking brought her to that point and then left. And then that created I can't have it. He doesn't want me, so I want it more. That's what I think what the narrative is they're trying to kind of pursue. And that's what kind of culminated in this episode.
The way I saw that go is like, from her perspective, I feel like also a part of it is like she's trying to call his bluff, right? Like it
did seem like that
questions,
a little bit.
I think a big question for her also is like, is his interest in her purely political, or does he really even care about her in any way? Do you know what I'm saying? Even as an uncle, even as somebody who's just family, even as someone who might even be romantically interested in her, like she's still trying to gauge what his motives are, because like he says it at face value for him when he puts out his reasons is like, well, my reasons are political. Like if you and I marry each other, that only secures our claim, and that like together, because we're both Targaryens, and your father has a harder time denying our claim to the throne because I'm the one who was originally supposed to take the throne, and now you are the second one. So Alicent, who are, and the High Towers, who are outsiders, will not get a good claim. Two Targaryens outdo one half Targaryen and a High Tower is essentially what he's saying, right? And she's like, yeah, you say it's all for political reasons, but I'm calling your bluff. I'm saying there's more to it than that. And if there's more to it than that, then let's leave tonight and you prove me wrong. And he's like, well, is this really like, they're like towing the line. And I think that's part of the brilliance of the Dance of the Dragon. If the whole entire series is, nicknamed the Dance of the Dragon, House of the Dragon is about the Dance of the Dragon. That's what the whole series is, the Tales of the Dance of the Dragon. And you see that personified even in the dance that they do when they first meet each other to two betrothed people, and that the dance that's going on between the two Targaryens is kind of like that as well.
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion that based on just on our talks just now, I kind of feel like that Daemon does have feelings for Rhaenyra, and that doesn't fit his current goal, and that he doesn't like that.
Yeah,
I think he's fighting the feelings he does have for her because he just wants to like make sure this is as messy of a ruling as it could possibly be for his brother before he passes.
Which, let's be honest,
right?
He may have just passed at the end of that episode.
If it's messy, there's opportunity. This is like the Littlefinger concept, which is like when you create chaos, when you've lost your position, right? When you've lost your position in the Game of Thrones, like the only way for you to regain it is to really just burn as much shit down as you can, because then everyone else is at equal footing, right? So he has to create as much chaos as he can before his brother goes, because only then is everyone at somewhat equal footing, and can he vie and claw his way back to the throne, right? Because that's ultimately still his end goal, right? Whether he sits on it as the true king or as behind the power behind the throne, I don't think
he gets to
matters to
whisper
him.
in the ear.
Exactly.
You know?
He's still
I
king.
wonder, dude. I wonder if that's what Damon even wants. And if he does really want it, I don't think is what he actually wants. I think if Damon ever made it to the throne, I think he would be bored silly and would do something ridiculously stupid.
Oh, yeah, he immediately would start wars left and right. He wants to be Aegon. He wants to conquer. He wants to get into more wars. Like you can see that like in his current actions, chaos is where he thrives. Action is where he thrives. Things happening is where he thrives. So he may be bored for a minute, but it wouldn't last long.
Okay, but one could argue that the problem that Robert Baratheon talks about with the Seven Kingdoms is that it's because of the way it's divided, it's difficult to get all 7 of them to unite under one common cause. And if he can start a war of conquest with 7 kingdoms, 1 dragon, 1 head dragon, leading that together with another dragon who by his side, conquering like the rest of the world as the 7 kingdoms in one army, that's like something that can unite, quote unquote. You know, that's his concept, is like I may be a conqueror, but at least I can like get all these people to listen to me, right? And we can unite under one army. And that's the problem that's always, you know, happening within the 7 kingdoms since the beginning, is this internal fighting of small lords fighting among each other all the time, you know, because they are bored. When there's no war, right, what's there to do?
Robert even said himself, like, there's a difference between conquering and ruling, and Robert was a conqueror and not a ruler. And Daemon is maybe even more of a conqueror than Robert was, and less of a ruler.
Yeah, you're totally right.
I think that I don't think it will be fascinating to see if Daemon makes it to the top. I don't think he will, because I think it'll be much more interesting to see him play the Game of Thrones, and
he doesn't need to be at the top to be in power. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Power isn't a title.
Yeah, but not to him. To him, that he does, I think, and he thinks that's still there's always somebody more, and when there's no one left at the top, then I don't know.
You might be right there.
That's what happens.
He has vanity written all over him. Yeah. I mean, look, out of all these things, I've been thinking this one thought is they fucking shit, they did it. Like, we are all entrenched in this fucking show. Like, we know where this is going, but like, listen to us. Like, this is, you just are like, I don't know if we know where he's going, kind of. If we think for a minute, probably figure out what's going to happen. But like, they're doing a damn good job at, you know, making this fairly interesting. You've got Rhaenyra and Daemon are the more interesting characters, and like, this honestly, like, they hold it, and they're doing a good job in holding it.
This episode was a turning point for the show.
Yeah, this
is
so much a great show.
This was a really good episode.
Great episode.
A lot of these actors are about to be replaced,
which is crazy.
Which I don't know. I don't think that's a good thing, but we'll see what happens, I suppose.
I'm very excited to see the actor that plays Rhaenyra, and what they're going to bring to the table. They're changing everyone. Like, Matt Smith is not going to be in it anymore. Or nothing.
No, Matt Smith's still be in it.
Matt Smith, but it's all the kids are going to be growing up, basically.
Yeah, all the younger people are going to be all aged up.
And
but like,
I will see. I think that's going to kill a lot of momentum. Personally, I think it's going to feel a little more removed, but we'll see.
Well, we're gonna get an Aegon, so that I think is like that'll be an interesting turn of events, is to see once Aegon comes of age to start like doing stuff. And I think that's next episode, or next 1 or 2 episodes. Like, then a whole new player has joined, you know.
Well,
like,
actually, I was
thinking a whole new thing,
interesting
another rightful heir to the throne, and it's going to be this whole.
When you speak like a new player has joined, I really got that feeling of I don't know if you remember back in the day when Game of Thrones first came out.
Back in the day, which,
back
by the way,
in the day when Game of Thrones first came out, there was like memes on Facebook where they would do like if Game of Thrones existed on Facebook, what it would look like. It'd be like Jon Snow just checked into the wall, and like all these little notifications like that, and there's memes of it. And I was saying that when I was watching yesterday, one of the things that I saw was that popped up in my head was the notification that Alicent Hightower has joined the Game of Thrones, because she finally was like, maybe she had an eye-opening moment, and you could see that she's finally really kind of seen what's going on, because in a way, her dad leaving put the fear of God in her, because there's no one to protect her anymore who's like looking out for her. She is solely responsible for looking out for her and hers, right? She's got these kids, I think it's like 2 or 3 of them now, that she's got to look after. And her dad put it simply to her, which as plain as could be, which is, you don't get it. Like, you're playing the Game of Thrones. Either your kid lives or she does. They are always going to be a challenge to her claim, and there's no way she's going to let them live. That's just how it works with them. Like, if you don't understand that reality, then like you're in more danger than you realize. And like, I think it finally hits her. And that may be the first shoe. The second shoe is the fact that the truth of, I guess, the scale of duplicity that Rhaenyra is. And one could argue, is Rhaenyra duplicitous, or is she purely just like lying to protect herself from constantly being under attack and under siege because she's an unwanted heir? Do you know what I'm saying? There's like a scale or a balance, I think, with Alicent Hightower's character. But I think now Alicent has like turned the corner. Do you know what I'm saying? She's now like, okay, I'm against Rhaenyra because I see just what's at stake, and I don't think she's somebody worth being. I don't think she's worthy to be queen. Do you know what I'm saying? She's made that decision that I don't think Rhaenyra is worthy to be queen. I'm not saying my kids are better. Well, maybe she's saying her kids are going to be better, but she's made that decision that Rhaenyra shouldn't be queen.
Yeah, she was like, she was one of the last innocent characters. She was very naive to a lot of this, and here we go.
I don't know. Did we see what happened to Sir Criston Cole at the end? He was gonna
kill himself, but he did.
But
we
then
don't know.
Stopped him.
She stopped him. Okay. She said Sir Criston. So she stopped him.
She's playing the game. Like, she's like, wait a minute. Like,
and this is somebody who is very destructive towards Rhaenyra. He's somebody who knows a lot about her, and has a secret that can potentially destroy her. So,
well, she might realize that there was a miscommunication earlier in the episode, that she's like, wait, why did he just beat the hell out of that kid? Like, oh, maybe he loves Rhaenyra, and she's like, well, now this is
there wasn't no miscommunication. She knew after that conversation that she had with him, she knew that he had slept with her.
Did she?
Yes.
Or did she think that he was admitting that he was had a part?
No, because he admits, he's like, I'm the one who transgressed with her.
Is that what he said? I don't know.
Yeah,
I may have tuned out. All right, well then there you go.
She thought she was trying to get him to admit
the incest,
how he knew about getting.
Right, I remember that.
Uncle, but then he admitted, like, it's true. I laid with her, and
he's like, yes, it was at her insistence, but I didn't.
Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he said those words. It wasn't like it was my fault or my whatever, and there was nothing left open.
Because you saw the look in her face, like, oh shit, like I didn't know.
Why would he offer to be gelded? He's like, instead of gelding me and
oh yeah,
torturing me,
what? Just kill me,
please. He'd done no wrong. Why would he admit that?
I didn't know they had to take a chastity vow or whatever it was, a vow of abstinence. I didn't know they did that.
It's not very seriously taken, that.
Apparently by him it was. And then,
but like the vast majority of them now.
Very hard.
Don't forget Mr. What's his face? And Bravos.
Well, but what else? What else happened? I mean, they got married, so that happened. I guess right. They snuck that in at the end there, and then the king collapses.
So much for 7 days of tourney, and 7 days of tourney and celebration. I really wanted to eat some food. I was getting hungry actually.
Right. Man, a lot happened in this episode. It really, you're right. It was a very big turning point, and again, like I'm interested in the character, the actress changes. I think that's an interesting part of this, because they are jumping, and I think I was wrong when I go back. They jumped 6 months and then 3 years, and then there wasn't. You were right. There wasn't a big jump. There was only a 3 or 4 year jump in total so far of this show. I don't think there was. I had it clocked at like 6 to 8, but it was only about 4. I read up on it. So I was a little wrong in one of my last episodes, but I guess we're poised for another time jump. I don't. Is it official? The next episode is a time jump. We don't know, or probably. So I'm intrigued to see more of the story. Like I said, I'm intrigued to get to the Aegon part of this and see how that goes. Just knowing things about this series. So yeah, they're doing all right in my book. I was like Dan in the first few episodes where it was like, yeah, I'm in, I'm out, but it wasn't for the same reasons. I was just like, yeah, it's cool. But it's also just okay. But then there's this moment that was pretty awesome, and this episode really did kind of tie together. The pacing for me was a lot better in this one. It was an arcing story, whereas some of the other ones seemed to like back and forth a little. So I was like, it peaked and then it dipped, but this one was good. So I'm intrigued for the next one. I've watched these all by myself. I haven't watched them with my wife, so I'm gonna have to rewatch all of these again. So at some point, I'm gonna have a double viewing on everything, and I'll be able to maybe pick up on something that we missed. So expect that in the near future to see if like, oh, now having seen all of them, maybe this will. Ooh, so I'm excited I am excited to rewatch them now. If this is like part one before the time jump. So yeah. Anything else on House of the Dragon?
Nope.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome. This was a fun one. Well, as always, we have been the Modern Nerd, and thank you for watching.